Well, y'all, another season for the good old UVA football team is coming to an end, and of course, season comes to an end thanks to another thrashing by Virginia Tech. I'm not surprised by this, and honestly, I'm not even mad. Not even mad that we lost this game because I expected it. So, Tech beat us for the third meeting in a row in this series. They've had to beat us to become bowl eligible, and they done it again last night. And I think that's like the 7th time in 12 years that Tech has had to come into this game to beat UVA. They needed to beat UVA to go bowling, and they've done that. So that doesn't surprise me at all. So no bowl game for us, which again, I'm not surprised by that either. So let's talk about where things stand with this UVA football program right now, because it's not good. It's not good. Year 3 under Tony Elliott is now in the books, and things have not gotten any better. I mean, record-wise, okay, yeah, sure, you can maybe make that argument, but it's not so much that we're losing these games that bothers me. It's how we're losing these games that's bothered me. We started the season off 4-1, and we ended the season 5-7. And that's in just about every one of these losses. We lost 6 of our last 7. And I believe every single one of these games we lost by at least double digits, at least 2 touchdowns. Okay. And that's just where things stand right now. That's just been Virginia football under Tony Elliott. And so I just want to talk about where things stand. And as I said, it's just not in a good place. And let me tell you why. So, over half of our roster, 44 players, are either seniors or they're grad students, which means most of them are going to be gone, either through graduation or through the transfer portal. And that's not counting the underclassmen, because there'll be some underclassmen that hit the portal. And so, I mean, we might be fielding a team full of walk-ons next year, and that's no joke either. Unless we strike gold in the portal, which I highly doubt that we will, we're going to be in for a very, very long year next year, which is more reason to fire Tony Elliott right now, because the guy, he'll be a lame duck coach next year. I think we all can agree on that. So there's really no point in keeping him around. And I said before, Tony Elliott, I've never met him. I don't know him personally. On the surface, he seems like a good man. He seems like a nice person. But Tony is not a good coach. Okay? He's not a good head coach. And some people are not meant to be good head coaches. They're just simply not cut out for that. Some people are good coordinators. But that doesn't mean you're going to be a good head coach. And so, that's just how it is. And I said in another State of the Program video that I did, if nothing else happens, at the absolute very least, Des Kitchings is the one that needs to be fired, because he needs to go. We haven't improved offensively. We're in year 3, is when you're supposed to be making progress, and things have basically stayed the same. If anything, they've gotten worse. Okay. Our offense, I don't know how many times this year we've gone a half where we didn't even have 100 yards of total offense. We did last night against Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech, they had more rushing yards than we did total yards in the first half. And then I think the North Carolina game, the game where we made Jeff Collins look like Buddy Ryan. We didn't have 100 yards of offense in that game either. And it just goes back to Kitchings. It's the same old song and dance routine every week that we've seen for the last 3 years. And so, if nothing else, Des Kitchings, he needs to go. and hopefully Tony will realize that. And then talking about the portal, I'm sure you guys all know by now that quarterback Anthony Calandria has entered the transfer portal, which I only have 2 words to say about that. Bye, Felicia. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. I couldn't stand this guy. He ran his mouth way too much, way too cocky, and he couldn't back it up. He was never that good to start with. I said, if you go back and watch my video before the season started, I did not want Calandria starting. I think Tony Muskett should have been the starter from day one. He got the start against Tech last night, and he done okay, but he made some mistakes too. But I still think Muskett was the better option. With Calandria, he had been the starter for this football program for the better part of the last 2 seasons, and nothing has changed. He's still made the same old dumb decisions and, trying to play hero ball all the time. And I don't know why Tony Elliott kept this guy around, why he kept him as the starter, because he never was that good, okay? And so I'm glad he's gone. He can go. He might be a good quarterback at the FCS level or the Group of 5 level, but he for sure ain't no Power 4 quarterback. That's for sure. And just talking about where things stand with this football program, I said Tony needs to be fired, and coaching is a big problem. Okay, Tony, Dez, Rudd, all those guys, and coaching is a big problem. And if you couldn't get to a bowl game with as much experience as what we had on our roster, well, how do you think it's going to look next year and the year after that? Unless, like I said, unless we somehow strike gold in the portal, which we won't, it's going to be a very long year next year. Okay. But as I said, coaching is a big problem, but I think the problem goes a whole lot deeper than that. Carla Williams, she needs to be fired. And this points back to the administration at UVA. And I know times have changed with NIL, with the transfer portal, but you have to adapt. And it looks to me as if that the program, the university as a whole, athletics department, has not adapted with that. I mean, we lost Tony Bennett, and I have a feeling Ron Sanchez, which that's a whole another video for another day. But I think we definitely need to hit the reset button in the athletics department, because the only sport that matters that we're actually doing good in is baseball. But because basketball has regressed since we won the national championship, football, I mean, I don't know how you could regress with a football program. We haven't had a winning season in 5 years. And so, yeah. And, the administration at UVA, the president, the board of visitors, they need to get their act together. They need to get their heads out of their rear ends and realize what is happening here. But then again, it just goes to show you that they just do not care also. Maybe they do, and I'm not seeing it. But, and people want to say, well, UVA cares about academics. They don't care about athletics. That's BS, okay? You cannot use academics as an excuse. And let me tell you why. Because there are schools out there that have standards, that have academic standards that is just as high as UVA, some of them even higher. And they have successful programs. And, coaching can make a lot of difference, guys. In a lot of cases, you can make the argument, well, you gotta give them at least 2 or 3 years. And in some cases that is true, but a really good coach who knows what he's doing can get a program turned around real quick. And you look at Duke, you look at Indiana. I mean, Indiana has never had a good football program. And you look at what Kurt Cignetti is doing there. He's got them 11-1. They're going to the college football playoff in his first year, okay? Indiana is. You look at Duke, okay? Duke, with David Cutcliffe, when he was there for, 10 or 12 years, he brought them to respectability. Now, his last 3 years there were the Duke football that we all know. They bring in Mike Elko, and And in his 2 short years at Duke, he had a 9-win season and an 8-win season. And then Manny Diaz, in his first year at Duke, won 9 games there also. And so it can be done. If Duke can do it, we can do it, okay? Duke is not a football school. Everybody knows that. And that's another thing I want to talk about. So over the past 3 seasons, UVA is the only team in the ACC with a losing record in all 3 seasons. All right, and you guys remember when Bronco Mendenhall left, and when we were looking for a coach, and Tony Elliott was on our radar. Well, he basically decided between us and Duke. He interviewed with Virginia and he interviewed with Duke, and of course he chose Virginia, and Duke ended up hiring Mike Elko. So Tony Elliott's been there for 3 years. Okay, Mike Elko was at Duke for 2 years, and then Manny Diaz. In that 3-year stretch, 2022, 23, and 24, Duke has won 25 games. UVA has lost 23 games. That's bad, okay? That's horrible, guys. And so, yeah, the people at UVA, they need to look in the mirror and see what's happening here. And as far as the administration, Carla, her contract expires here in just a few months. And as far as I know, she has not signed a contract extension. And so, and I hope she doesn't, to be honest, because our athletic department has not been good since she has been our AD. You could say, oh, well, we won national championships in other sports like basketball, soccer, lacrosse. Those were hires that were made by Craig Littlepage. She did not hire those people. So, yeah. And then she ran Bronco Mendenhall out of town and brought in Tony Elliott. And our program at the time, when Mendenhall left, it wasn't the greatest situation, but it wasn't terrible either. And I thought, Tony Elliott was handed on a silver platter a pretty decent situation. Ran it right into the ground, and that's where we've been the last 3 years. And so we gotta do something, and there's really no reason to keep Tony around. Like I said, I'm sure he's a good person. He seems like a nice man, but he's not a good coach. And we just need to, I think, certainly when it comes to football, and I guess you could say basketball too, we need to hit the reset button and start over from scratch. And it's just not in a good place right now. And so that's where things stand. And hopefully we can get it turned around. I hope the higher ups at UVA will realize that. But if they don't, then it just goes to show they don't care about football. They don't really care about athletics at all. So anyway, that's all I've got for today. What are your thoughts on the season, where the program stands right now? And yeah, see you guys later. Thanks for watching. And as always, go